The ESME Philippines is a free learning platform offered to Filipinos who are looking for a way to learn and build real employable skills that are in demand. Learn marketing, entrepreneurship, photography, culinary, advertising, videography, business operations, gardening, personal development, health and fitness, finance and accounting, music, and academics. Learn and share your skills today. Sign up now at esme.ph.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And my name is Cher, and I'm one of the co-founders of ESME Philippines. And thank you for watching our session for this afternoon. ESME PH is an online marketplace for education where professionals can learn and build relevant skills that are on demand. And you can also like our Facebook page at ESME Philippines and visit our website at esme.ph. And for those of you who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or even from our page, feel free to share this video to people you think will be interested about e-commerce, real estate, technology, and so forth. And this September, I am so happy I'll be joined by a special co-host. He's a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, a podcast host of the Small Talk, and blogger content creator. Please welcome Alec Cuenca. Hey,
Thank you,
Alec.
Chair. Thank you for that introduction. Hey guys, hello to everyone who's watching right now. I hope you learned something today. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we do. So,
Yes.
yes,
It
let's
it
go.
is a very exciting afternoon,
I
Alec.
am. I'm actually very excited because today we have an amazing guest that I know that a lot of Filipinos out there are gonna learn from this guy. This guy is really one of the best in what he does, and we're just happy and we're just so glad that he's joining us here today.
Agree. Thank you for patronizing our efforts for ESME and for the Prosperna group. Siguro without much further ado, we could introduce our our guests for this afternoon. Our guest for this afternoon, sorry, are Dennis Velasco. His background includes 12 years in Silicon Valley experience, and he recently moved here in the Philippines to raise the bar. Interesting, to raise the bar to the local tech industry. While in Silicon Valley, he grew a $16 million division for Salesforce.com and started two division four and was part of the IPO Cornerstone On Demand. Amazing. Ang bigat din ng guest natin, Alec. And prior to leaving San Francisco Bay Area for Manila, he was part of the North America VP of Sales for Zero Sales Business
Wow.
Cloud accounting software. And today he's the founder and CEO for Prosperna. And Prosperna mission is to empower 100,000 SMEs in the Philippines with easy to use, affordable e-commerce software. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Dennis Velasco. Hey, Dennis. Hey, Dennis, can you hear us?
Hey, Cher. Hey, Alec. What's going on,
Hey,
guys?
Dennis.
Hey, everybody online. Thanks for joining us today on their happy weekend.
Yes, it is a happy weekend indeed. And we're very excited that we get to know you more and your company. Um, yeah, we have so many questions, Dennis. Are you ready for it?
I hope so. But yeah, sure, certainly. It's great to be here. And it's always nice to connect with, our entire and have a chance to connect with our ecosystem here in our country. So fun stuff.
Okay, so let's dive right in with the questions. Are you
Yeah.
ready, Dennis? Okay, so I'd like to say that when I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
your background, I mean, we could talk about a lot of the stuff that you've been through. I mean, you have an amazing background with all the Silicon Valley stuff, with all the IPO stuff. But today we're gonna talk about more of your current venture, which is Prosperna, and how we could prepare for the second wave of digital shift. So let's dive right in. Can you tell us what is Prosperna and why the name Prosperna?
Yeah. So Alec and Cher, Prosperna was really uh, part of my experience in Silicon Valley and helping other SMEs around the world actually use technology. And so one of my dreams was to come back to our country and really bring that technology, but make it made for the Philippines and make it tailor fit for the Philippines needs. So what we decided to do was really try to make the easiest and most affordable e-commerce software platform, because our system can do a lot of different things. But as I mentioned again, really built for the Philippines, because if you look at, of course, many of the different options, which there are, and looking at all your options are good. Um, many of them can be quite complicated, or they're 10 or 15 years in maturity. And here we are really at the very early stages of the digital shift in our country. So there's a bit of a mismatch, right, on needs and how software that's currently available, works.
Agree. Actually, here in the Philippines, we're lag in technology. Like before, it was by 20 years, right? And now maybe for 5 years, we are still lagging. So it's a great thing that you are envisioning your company for Filipinos technology, so we'll be able to adapt in the new market.
Yeah, and I
And
really
yeah, I
admire
mean,
what you did, Dennis, because a lot of Filipinos, when they get successful abroad, they kind of forget, or they don't want to look back in here in the Philippines, because it causes so much stress. It's so much harder for them, to prosper. And you went back here in the Philippines and tried to help our Filipinos by giving them your service, and that's just amazing. And that I really admire that about you.
thanks. And that's probably one of the things that is the most rewarding is hearing from others like yourself, or our customers, of course, and partners, to hear them really have this very uh, honest gratitude for doing what we're doing to help people. And that's extremely rewarding. It's worth more than anything. And it's funny because when I meet other Filipinos, and clearly there's a lot of opportunities outside the Philippines. But whenever I hear them thinking about going abroad or anything like that, I'm certainly not wanting to stop them, but I certainly give them a bit of a hard time and give them a few questions to make them think about what the opportunities are that we have right here in front of us. You know, because I came here thinking that, you know, there's a lot more opportunity here. And certainly I think we're a good example of that, like many other companies and peers of mine. And, you know, I want to share and help people understand that you don't have to go outside of the Philippines. And I think we can do this here. And there's a market here for us to make and create technology specifically for our own ecosystem of SMEs or large enterprises. We make it for everybody else. Why can't we make it for ourselves?
Yeah. I love that.
There's a
You
lot,
know?
actually there's like a lot of Filipino engineers everybody in the world, like even in Silicon Valley, right? There's a lot of Filipino engineers who are helping this big conglomerates, and they're rocking it. But that's a good point, then, is that we could build something for Filipinos, even make it, well, the intentions for Filipinos, but it still can be used globally, right, in the
Yeah.
future.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and you talked about opportunities. You talked about the market here in the Philippines. I want to know what exactly like triggered you to start Prosperna.
Yeah. So, so to be upfront, when I came here 5 years ago, I wanted to build software that was specifically built for our country. But it would have been wrong of me just come here and start building software without understanding the market. And so the first couple years, you know, we were actually building software for other companies, and we used that as a flywheel to start and build our own business. And it gave us time to survey, research, talk to, get feedback on what the needs are here locally. And then, you know, if you fast forward a little bit, we did actually build a couple other applications that honestly, the market here just wasn't ready for at that time. And so we can get into that in a more, you know, what's it like to start up a company? Maybe that'd be another topic. But the reality is we did create another couple pieces of software and applications, and we didn't see the product market fit, as they call it, or demand right away. And then I went on this tour. I went back to the US to kind of clear my head. and then I called my guys and I said, hey, can we build this? But in the beginning, it was for real estate. You know, we built a real estate specific website builder and CRM and sales and marketing software just for real estate. And we did that for a couple reasons, just to kind of walk you through the thought process.
For sure, go.
Yeah. Number one, when I moved back here 5 years ago, and even a few years before that, real estate was one of the top 6 economic drivers of our country. And so if you're going to create something, it's always good to at least think about, if you created it for those folks, or have the means to pay for it, right? So that they had potential. We didn't know yet if they would buy it, but they had the potential, right? The second thing is, when you build and create smart, smart types of technology, you want to, really think about if someone will actually end up giving you their money and saying, yes, I see the value in that and I want it, right? So we started then pitching it to some of the biggest real estate companies, And certainly they had interest, because what we noticed is, and this is where the opportunity here is in the Philippines, is this is a very underserved market for many, many products and services. So if there's other entrepreneurs and SMEs out there who are thinking about why the Philippines or what they can do, the reality is there are many, many underserved markets. And most of the options were options from abroad. Well, as I said earlier, options from abroad are 5, 10, 15 years more advanced and more mature. So typically that means they're going to be 5, 10, 15 years more complicated. And they'll be 5, 10, 15 years more expensive, right?
Okay.
And we're just at the early stages. So it's a great time to build software and grow with our marketplace, you know? So that's why we started building it. But we built it for real estate also, because I just have a personal, parents always said, hey, once you start making money, I don't care if it's a doghouse, you buy some kind of real estate, no matter how small, medium, or large it is. You know, I never wanted to be a broker or a developer or anything like that. I just felt like it was an underserved market, and it proved to be so. But our vision was to always expand across other verticals. And that's kind of one of the other lessons learned is, you know, you should try to be focused. If you try to be all things to all people, you'll probably burn a lot of money, burn it fast, and not get very far, right? So once we perfected real estate, we started setting our sights on other vertical industries, which led us to e-commerce and the general market of SMEs. So sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but it's, you know, that's exactly what happened in our head.
It's all good. I'm actually thinking now because I have a real estate client and they need to hear what you're saying right now is to invest in their potential. Because if they're going to do it in the next 10 years, it will really be expensive for one. And there will be more tech in the future. So adapting to the changes right now is a good thing to discuss with their executives. Probably I'll endorse you to my client. But yeah, for
Oh,
sure,
awesome.
spot on what you're saying about these industries. and
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 that's
yeah.
really interesting because when I saw Prosperna on Instagram, I checked some of their posts, and they were for general merchandises. They were for e-commerce, something like that, more like that. And
Mhm.
I didn't know that it started from real estate, and it just shows that there all the sectors here in the Philippines, everyone's going digital,
Yeah.
and we must prepare ourselves. And that's what Prosperna is doing, is to help Filipinos, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in e-commerce, whether in your brick and mortar store, whatever you're doing, as long as you're starting your own business, there is a shift that is going to digital. And I want to ask you, I want to ask you more about that. We all know that technology and digitalization of businesses is not an option anymore, but more of a necessity. It's like an indicator that you can exist in the future. For
Yeah.
traditional businesses, for the old school businesses, what are the main challenges of them going through a digital shift?
You know, that's a great question, and that does come up quite often. And you know, business isn't easy, and it doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you're starting, if you've been in business for a long time, if you're trying to grow your business, if you're trying to shift or pivot. So I like to try to keep things simple. So,
Yeah.
but if I could outline some of the things, I would say that it really, number one, uh, you know, Jess, it really starts with the just the simple mindset. If you think about it really, really simply, um, we're all human beings, and as you know, human beings, we have the power to imagine and create, but that imagination or what goes on in your mind doesn't turn into action until you start believing and thinking. So you have to have that mindset first in order to take that first step in that action. I mean, it doesn't really matter even at what level. If you're a business owner, a C-level executive, an employee, entrepreneur, SME, I mean, the entire ecosystem is changing. I mean, every marketplace around the world, if you look at it even a little bit more sophisticatedly, is driven by supply and demand. And that supply and demand is based on who? Their customers. I can guarantee you that everybody here on this call, listening or watching, or all of us three, we've all bought something this week. 100%. Everybody's bought something this week online.
I agree.
Right? We don't need research for that.
Yeah.
So what that means is
already.
consumers' demand is driven by online purchases now. Now, just to help our community, I did do a little research just to check my thought process. And I wanted to see if there was some measurable evidence of what's happening. So let me share with you guys real quick some stuff that I found. Pre-COVID, the e-commerce industry and driven by a lot of the other vertical industries growth was supposed to grow on average 18% year over year. That was before pandemic, before global financial crisis. And this is data from Statista.com, which is a research and analytics company. And this is based on the Philippines, right? So 18% growth, that's really healthy, right? Without what's going on. Now, if you look at what happened during COVID, this is a separate third-party research from Bain & Company, a consulting company. And let's look here on the left first. The shift to online, 30%, and I think that's very conservative because I would bet that everybody on the call right now has bought something, 100%, hands down. But based on their of the pandemic, 30% of people shopped online for something that they usually bought. That's the key. They usually bought these things offline, but they actually just changed their behavior in 30 days. Or less, actually, right? Yeah. And then 42% of people shopped online for groceries in the last 2 weeks. And this is what's really cool that starts to show the market potential, right? Because Alec, you were saying, we're talking about the difference in the opportunity here versus abroad, et cetera. This is a great market because 84% of the people were all first-time users. Those are all new market opportunities for somebody.
Amazing number.
I mean,
That's
what a great market to be.
Alec?
Yeah, and if
hello? Yeah, I'm here.
look, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. I think
Okay.
I love the research that you've done on here, but yeah, first time users at 84%, that's a big number. But do you have numbers? I'm now interested more like after the COVID, like no, not after because COVID is still here. Like, what was the number before COVID? Like, I know because we are triggered now. Like since we are stuck at home, we are on lockdown. We are so scared to go to the grocery store. There's still a long queue. You still need to interact people. Actually, I would say COVID-19 shifted the way people think about consumption on digital technology, right? Not just on e-commerce, but even for consumption on TV and etc., which is a good thing for us. And being frontliners on producing something for the market is great. And when you say 84% of this people are using the digital apps, I think by 2025 we'll have more um, startups for sure, or will solve more. What you think, Dennis?
Yeah, I certainly hope so, and that's what we want to do, is try to encourage, because honestly, in order to be one successful software company, we need actually a lot of successful software companies, because cumulatively we all are working on changing everybody's behavior, right? So speaking of changing people's behavior, let's look at some of this other data on this slide, right? Everybody has a friend or a family member, maybe a parent, a tita, cousin, tito, right? Look at this information. Even older generations or more experienced generations are now 78% of people from 45 to 54 years old are starting to use digital software for the first time. People over 55, they've actually said, I am going to shop online now. And then even other types of demographics. So, at all different levels, even low income respondents also plan to shop online, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually interesting, because some of this research says that it's more than high income earners, right? So there's really not just a broad spectrum of technology adoption that's going on, but it's a very deep spectrum of technology going on. And to me, all this just speaks of opportunity. So if there's anything that we can do on this webinar, is to create, build, but also to collaborate and connect with other software providers. That's one thing that I would like to see more, is people, working together more, because it has to be an ecosystem, which is part of, not to steal our thunder, but part of the second digital shift, right? Have you guys had family members now that are doing things, living differently in how they buy and coordinate and transact, or
Yeah, I have a lot of my titas who are buying online, who they didn't even know that Shopee existed, Lazada existed, and now they're every single week they have a delivery here, and I'm just amazed by the graphs that you showed me. I'm literally like mind blown, because those are huge numbers. I mean, for some people, they don't care about the numbers, but those numbers are actually huge, and that just shows that there is the shift, the digital wave that we're talking about is statistically here, and it's not just something that we're trying to talk about. It's not just something that we're trying to conceptualize. Behavior of people are actually impacted by the digital shift, and it's not like what they're buying is changing. Whatever they're buying, they're still buying it. The only difference is how they're buying it. And for a lot of startups, and I really loved what you said, that we need to build an ecosystem, not just you or Prosperna doing all the work for the digital shift, because we need to have all these other service providers to do well for all of our country to excel or to prosper, to be complete with the digital shift. And I'm just really amazed with these graphs. And for the people who are not like very interested in numbers, they don't care about the numbers. Some of the micro SMEs, or the small, or even the medium enterprises, they're kind of scared of what's going on, with the COVID changes and all that stuff. So could you provide a little more depth on whether can all business models be viable for a digital transformation?
Can all businesses be viable technology. Um, Generally speaking, I would say yes, and I would also end that yes with absolutely. Um, just from my own personal experience and everything that we've seen all around us already, we all know that there are dozens and dozens of examples of businesses that used to involve brick and mortar and hardware types of business models that are now completely gone. Netflix and Spotify are very popular examples of that, right? Um, and there are even more examples, right? If you think about it, uh, even the most traditional and even rural industries like farming and planting, I just got my entire landscape done, and I was tickled to death. This family-run nursery, I found them online. I never went to the nursery. I had them send me pictures. They did a little video of their nursery. I selected literally my entire lawn right before the rainy season, because that was one of my goals at the beginning of the year, is to not miss this rainy season and grow some beautiful plants. So you might call me a plantito, right?
You are.
Plantito.
Bro, that's actually, if you don't believe the numbers, think about the cultural shift that's just happened with that whole plantita concept. That never existed before, and it would, I bet, never have existed if it wasn't a digital shift in behavioral change.
Agree.
You
I
know,
love that.
so we have concrete companies, right, that are using digital and technology and platform. We have numerous construction industry and materials. These are companies with legacy, multi-generational history of traditional doing business. We have lots of those. I think they call them ukais, right? And
Yeah, the okay.
and apparel shops that you used to, go through the mazes of the Chungettes to find great deals. Those are all going online. So it's not just, gadgets and things like that. So I would say, yeah. And have you guys experienced, I mean, what do you think here in the Philippines is anything that you've seen that maybe made you think, wow, right? They've even
I was
gone
thinking
digital.
about what you said about Netflix, because I could remember, and Cher could probably also remember about the Video City, where we would go to Video City and try to rent VCDs and DVDs and all that stuff. But now you can just click online. So there's a lot of culture change in the shift that is happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the spread of the ube pandesal, right? Everybody was it was a fad, and then out of nowhere, everybody was a pastry maker. Everybody was a chef.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing food businesses that you're surprised your neighbor is already cooking and they're selling. So it's amazing that how people are captivating their new hobbies in selling it as well. And it's really not just shifting themselves as a user to the application, but them being the um how do you say it, like the person who's really selling. It's just not them as the customer per se, I guess what I'm saying. They're just not the customer, and but right now it's the shift of them being the sellers, the business people, right? They're creatively thinking of what can I sell, what can I do, should I be a YouTube star or should I
Yeah.
do my podcast, or there's a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
right now, which is
And
very
I
exciting.
Yeah, and I really love the plantito and about the nursery story that you told us, because it just shows that whatever you're trying to grow in your business, whatever aspect you're in, there can be a lot of success waiting for you. And I want to go
Agree.
deeper into that. What do you think makes a digital shift or a digital transformation in a business successful?
Yeah. Good question. As
That is.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, go.
Okay,
You
we
got
can
me?
hear.
Am
Yep.
I-
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Cool. So as we get into that conversation and about to digital transformation and how to make it successful, I'd like to first bridge into some research, not just about what's going on today and what was happening before, but to also just ask ourselves, is this digital shift gonna continue and happen after, if this whole pandemic ends? Let's share some things it takes to be successful in a digital shift. Um, so post COVID-19, there was a survey recently done, and this survey was all about Southeast Asia, and it was done by the Asian Nikkei exchange, right, the stock market there in Japan. And it was a very simple survey. Do you plan to do more or less purchasing of goods online after COVID-19? And over 4,000 people had responded, and over 52% of them said, I will buy more. And at a minimum, 32% I will do the same. So not only have we increased at a minimum of 30%, but 50% of those people basically said, I'm going to do more. And at least 30% of them said, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. Right? Because let me ask you, right? Just point blank, like you said on the movies, are you gonna, like this weekend, tonight or tomorrow, I'm sure you're gonna go watch some kind of movie or series.
Mhm.
Are you gonna try to go out and buy or rent a DVD? No,
No.
Not anymore.
you're not gonna go back in time and try to do that,
Mhm.
right? Another example, if you're gonna start a business today, when you start a business, you typically need to buy things to start a business. Whatever business you might be in, might be equipment, could be raw materials, it could be, a coffee maker if you're in the coffee business, right? Whatever, you're going to buy something. Now, if you think about it from a technology standpoint, and if you're going to start a business today, would you go out and buy a fax machine today
No.
if you're going to start a business? No. And a fax machine isn't that old. The point being is once you start seeing the value of how technology can help you, you've actually already started changing your behavior, and you just didn't know it because it was just so good, because the value was so helpful, right?
I agree in all points. Yes.
I don't know. I just, sure, I try to keep things simple, right?
Yeah, I
And
like that. Like when you're trying to grow your business, you're not trying to look back. I mean, of course, there are you could use statistics from the past, but you should also be able to spot where the trend or what's the behavior of your consumers going forward, because only then, because there is future, right? And this just allows us to see that 84% of the people will stay digital. This just shows that
yeah.
maybe the 17% are not yet ready, but eventually they will be ready. I mean, there's no way that we're going back to our old ways. And even though that our new normal is not like the final normal, no, I
Yeah.
honestly believe then that everything's going digital. Like every single one of us is going digital.
Yeah. I actually
I
think,
like
And
how you put looking
yeah.
forward and going ahead. That's an often missed
okay,
point, right? To try to look at.
yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh, what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm actually thinking in the future we won't need a laptop anymore. Everything is on your mobile. Your mobile can be your laptop. Some people are already working on their phones, right? You don't need a laptop. So maybe in the future we'll also be thinking like, just like how we're seeing Betamax or VHS or facsimile, right? That what's a laptop? Maybe.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've got right
But
here. I've got right here a this smart
Ooh.
tablet. Uh, I'm testing it to see if I can replace my laptop
And how was the experience
because for
then?
some reason it's really really close, right? But for some reason, I want to try to get rid of my laptop, right? I'm thinking maybe there's something that's smaller, lighter weight, less clunky, you
yeah,
know.
Agree.
Um,
Agree. Actually, for me
I
at
think
work, yeah, actually for me at work, since we're working from home, so I use the phone for Slack, Trello, just to check the team how they're working, and sometimes I can just work on my phone. And uh, the only time I'll be using my laptop if I'll be doing some designs or if I need a very high PDF that I need to
right.
download. But you wouldn't know, like future
yeah,
is amazing for everybody.
yeah. And maybe those stuff will happen in the fourth wave or the fifth wave, the digital shift, if there is like that. But I want to talk about you have a long experience, Dennis, with working with startups, right? And can you give us a brief historical background on the first? Because today we're talking about the second wave of the digital shift. Can you tell
Mhm.
us more about what happened in the first wave, and what's the the boundary between the first wave and the second wave of digital shift? Did you hear me,
Yeah,
Dennis?
it's a
Okay.
great question.
There's a lot.
It
Yeah.
can be a little yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead,
Yeah, we
Dennis.
can hear you right now.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'm gonna because I don't fairly answered your other question, but I'm gonna answer this one and tie it with what makes a successful digital shift. All right.
Okay.
And the second digital shift, right? If you really look at what's already happened and share, you've mentioned some things already, right? You've mentioned the difference in why you use a mobile device versus why you use a laptop or a PC, right?
Yeah.
So you don't walk around that much and see people um, with some of the old school phones, right? They're all now have, my cell phone, this thing has more memory than my laptop. It's 12 gig.
Agree.
You can get a powerful cell phone than a laptop. So here's what's happened. The first digital shift was always centered around increasing productivity and
Mhm.
using devices or building software to improve and increase efficiencies. It was about do more with less, improving out. And we've all seen this, right? Everybody
Yeah.
now has a very powerful smartphone. Um, since there are more software applications being built and used in our country in the region, there are top sales. Since um, everybody's work from home, these online sellers of laptops have tripled at
Yeah.
least. If you go to the mall, the busiest place in the mall is Cyberzone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes, I saw that. there there was a time where I went there and all of the laptops were out of stock, which was it was
Wow.
the first day after COVID, after ECQ. Here in Zambales, they went from ECQ to GCQ, and the first day the laptops were out of stock, and that was wow. That was really interesting to see. Yeah, you can go on.
Exactly.
I just shared that.
And our no, in our country, on that little third icon, which is the uh, represent software applications. You know, the Philippines and the number of developers and the skill set continuing to increase. You know, and we're getting a lot more people that are, instead of being electrical engineers, they want to be software engineers. They want to be
Yeah.
data intelligence engineers, software QA engineers. That's a great thing. So there's a lot of software now being built here in the Philippines, as I said earlier, for everybody abroad. Why aren't we building that stuff for ourselves, right? Now, if we look at the second digital shift, I'm going to show you this to maybe represent a visual image. It might, but it will relate back to what we talked about in terms of people doing business here more locally, right? See what that looks like. So the second digital shift, based on my research, based on observing consumer behavior, and we're hearing from our customers, is expanding and evolving from productivity and efficiencies to a more connected ecosystem, right? And I'll explain what that means. But it's a connected ecosystem with the customer in the center of it. Because the charts and research is driven by supply. And the supply research shows that want this more and are doing business more online. Now, if the customer rules, then that means the customer is looking for convenience, right?
Yes.
And they're looking for, you know, people to do business with easily, right? And as I
Agreed.
mentioned, all of these things, if you're going to build something that's simple, that's high in trust, then these applications that are all going to be built all have to start being connected in order to deliver on what the customer wants, right? So look at some of these examples here, right? For example, Prosperna, right? We can connect our online store builder and create it for a company. Let's just say maybe Lola Nena's Peachy Peachy. They're selling thousands of triple cheese donuts a day. They're going crazy. There must be something in these triple cheese donuts. They are amazing. But you know, they can manage their product and their catalog on our online store and other marketplaces, right? They can connect, manage their inventory on Facebook and integrate their Facebook purchases with our platform. Why? Because it makes it more convenient for customers, right? Now, if you take that scenario, the challenge with Facebook, even being, you know, is they don't offer payments. They don't offer checkout. They don't offer delivery in the Philippines. So what do? Based on what the customer wants, which is convenience, trust, and ease, we integrate multiple payment methods, right? We integrate multiple shipping methods so that SMEs can deliver, as we saw earlier, based on the customer demand, which is to have a smooth transaction online, right? And now, on the right, we're connecting with a brick and mortar food and beverage business who used to have 15 locations in all the malls. Therefore, since we had, they all had a lot of POS systems. Well,
Yep.
we're connecting the POS system, the online store, and Facebook is connected to the online store. So now these SMEs can have one single platform, but they can serve all their customers in one place, right? Now, the only example of that, right? Look at your Gmail. Anybody here use Gmail?
I do.
Gmail is connected. Yeah, Gmail is connected to your Google Docs, right? That integration makes working easier, right? Exactly. So the future is really about a connected ecosystem. And what the great thing is about it is it's driven by the customer.
Yeah.
And if you observe, follow, and watch your customer, you'll find opportunity. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but and I'm sure there's some things that you guys could add. What do you guys think?
Actually, there's a question from our viewers. I think it's
I'm
way connected with what you're saying, Dennis. So, Joseph Rowe has said, in terms of internet connectivity, where do you guys think we are now as a country, and what do you think its effect for the digital shift? I actually think this is just
Yeah,
the one problem here in the Philippines, right?
yeah, that's a great
Like what?
question, and it is and can you hear me?
Yep, we are experiencing the
yeah, I think
internet
that
connectivity problem.
I think that could answer the question.
Well,
Even though we're so
very
prepared,
timely
we're so
question
hyped up, we're so
because
excited for this.
yeah, this is an example that you know, the internet is a important cog in the ecosystem. And you know, I've talked to several you know, folks in the some of the government associations that are involved in the technology infrastructure of the country, and they admit that our infrastructure is behind, and we have a big backlog on the number of cell towers, etc. But what will happen is, as more soft developed, then people will use that software on more devices, right? And so more devices will have to have higher memory, and you'll have to have a higher bandwidth. So
Agreed.
basically, the internet infrastructure is going to have to improve. So hopefully there's somebody out there that can.
For sure.
Otherwise, you
Yeah,
know,
Actually,
there are applications
Mhm.
and there are technologies that can be used to augment bad internet. So you can always create an offline server
Mhm.
to back up and store information. So if data was refreshed, once you get internet connection, boom, all the information gets sucked up into the application, and you didn't skip a beat, right? So
Agreed.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
ways to prevent it, but we certainly have a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Actually,
also
it's
what I want to.
wonderful.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Share.
yeah, wonderful yung connected ecosystem. I agree with Dennis. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to be present in the marketplace, but of course, question is the connectivity. Question is how do you pay? Since Philippines is a cash on delivery like there before COVID, there's like a lot of trust issues by Filipinos, but it's great now that we shifted somehow on agreeing ourselves to pay online, right? So actually, it's a good thing, and this ecosystem is really works. And if there's a lot of people who's creating softwares for us, like for a small business owner, it will help us make sure that if I just click on something, you get you get my product even you're from Cebu, right? So yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
And
Ali.
I'm just gonna
Mhm.
point out one of the one from the question. Like, forgive me if I'm an optimist, but even though we have this bad connection with bad internet providers, there are, as Dennis showed, that it just keeps on growing. And there's just so much upside. You know what happens when you don't when you get the lag, when you don't have internet? Do you stop buying? No, you just wait until you get internet, then you buy. The consumer behavior is there. It doesn't change. It just keeps on. And I mean, there's just so much potential. I mean, right now, of course, we have bad internet, but that just shows that even though we have bad internet, people are still buying online and going digital.
Yeah, that's true.
And just,
You're
that
an
just
honest.
That's true.
yes. So can I get a quick
That's
answer
true.
on
And
this one? Who do you think will
everybody
be the
is being
biggest
impacted.
losers? Okay, sorry.
Yes, Dennis.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. We're kind of experiencing a little bit of lag here.
Dennis,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say that in terms of all of this change from the first to the second digital shift, I did want to make it a point to help people, at least with my opinion, whatever that's worth, to really share what I believe will make a digital transformation. Keep talking about technology, about internet, about techie stuff. I do want to emphasize that software and technology is still made by people. And the first and foremost key driver or any large company or any employee, any manager, any executive, it comes back to people, and it comes back to them. You have to have the right people who have the courage to lead the change in behavior and the change in mindset, right?
Okay.
So I honestly don't believe that there's a formula or a magic piece of software, right? It comes down to people, process, and technology. And you have to put all of those things together. So, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of companies that will have to their hiring profile, right? Like today, since we are a 99% work from home company forever, right? It takes a different kind of person to do that. So our hiring and our prerequisites and the way we interview is convinced that they can work in a technology distributed work from home environment. Not everybody is ready for that, I hate to say.
Agree.
So successful digital transformation, you have to really do an inventory and make sure you've got people to lead it. Not just people inside, right? You should, SMEs, any company has got to look at also the ecosystem of partners that they work with. Are they digital ready? Their vendors and suppliers. Because ultimately you're trying to deliver a product and service, and sometimes your product and service involves your team of employees, right? And sometimes it involves and it makes you depend on suppliers, right?
Agree.
How are you going to deliver in a digital world if nobody's ready, right? So you're going to have to shift and find new partners who are digitally ready.
Yeah.
So
actually,
anyway,
yeah,
you can tell I get really passionate stuff.
Yeah, actually, Dennis and Alec, one of the reasons why we created ESME is really to bridge the education for people. Like, for example, if you've been an accountant all your life and you were retrenched during the pandemic, right? Where will you go, right? So we were thinking we need to help these people to nurture themselves to find a new hobby or find a new career, whether it's an artistry or becoming a seamstress. I don't know, but educating the people to new skills, and maybe they'll be able to learn something and apply for next work. And just very quick comment on your on what you're saying on the workforce. I do believe in the future we could like what you're doing with Prosperna right now, that um you're creating like a Filipino version of WordPress and Wix for Filipinos, right? I hope in the future someone somewhere will also do a Slack or Trello or a project management Asana for Filipinos. Who knows? So yeah, good point. Alec, are you still there? Our internet
That's
connection
great
today.
encouragement, and I think. Can you hear me, Cher?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Cher, can you hear me?
Yes, this is the wonderful thing about being live. We'll
Oh,
feel
okay.
our
I was just gonna say that, yeah,
yeah.
I love what ESME is doing because it's some education, right? Yeah. Let me know if
Alec,
you can hear me.
actually both of you are chopping off. But maybe Alec, can we go to the next question?
Just type something, make sure my internet's still working here.
I can hear you guys.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I think this is one of the, yeah, as you said, Chair, we can't control these kinds of circumstances. But I really love how Dennis talked about the ecosystem. It's not just about the one thing that builds a business. It's about how your business can work well with other businesses. And it's
Agree.
and one of the main things that I really loved about what he said is that the key driver in this shift is the people. If you're not, if you don't have people who are willing to adapt to the management, to lead into this shift that we're having, I don't think you're going to be successful, because again, it's not just you, it's about you working with other businesses in your ecosystem. And
Yeah, actually, like I
so
always
Dennis,
tell, I'd
welcome
open
back.
the yeah. Hey, Dennis.
Yep, all good.
We have a question from our viewer. It's from Brian
Going
Erfurt.
on the topic of winners and losers.
No,
This one's a nice question. Do you can you see this?
Hey, Brian, buddy.
yeah. So for Brian, he said, "What is the current percentage of online purchases uses COD versus cashless payment?" Maybe coming from your perspective, Dennis.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I don't have the exact figures, but I did run across a study. Um, if you can chat your, oh, I know Brian. Brian of Discussions. What's up, buddy? I have seen some research that shows about a third of transactions are now being done online. So some specific examples are, very simply, people are willing to now go out and get a debit card. And we also have alternative payment options where customers will be willing to maybe walk across the street and pay at 7-Eleven, and
Yeah.
7-Eleven's payment system can integrate with an online system like the Prosperna online store. And so that way you can receive money, quote unquote, digitally, but traditional consumers have kind of paid for the money over the counter, as they say, whether it be 7-Eleven, at Cebuana Lulier, or even at a bank, right?
Yeah, agree.
But there's going to be a continued growth on that. But yeah.
Actually, coming from our discussion about the second wave of digital shift, who do you think is the biggest winner or losers of this shift?
Great question. Again, I like to put things in simple ideas and
Mhm.
perspective. I believe that the winners are those who will be the early adopters.
Correct.
The losers are going to be the ones who are late to adopt. And let's just think about it, right? We all know the concept of saving money, right? The earlier in life that you save money, the more money you have at the end, right? Just based on the power of compounding interest over time, right?
Mhm.
And this isn't a financial seminar or anything like that, but I just know everybody understands the concept of saving. It's just not as simple as is, though. Not everybody does it,
Mhm.
right? But it's, in the digital transformation, whenever there's a industry disruption, you can increase your chances by being part of the early adopters because you gain a lead on the competition. That's why
Agree.
I believe that the SMEs in the Philippines have the biggest to gain over the next 10 years. SMEs are faster.
Yes.
SMEs have less hierarchy. SMEs less politics, right? And they're much more nimble. You don't have to reorganize a bunch of to change,
Agree.
right? That's why, or one of the many reasons why I believe that SMEs, think about how many people were late, right? They're all thinking about creating a new business. That's a huge influx of money that will come into the,
Yeah.
right?
Agree.
Versus how long it takes for big companies to change. There are going to be brands that take over certain categories because they're first, right?
Yep.
So I think starting or transforming your business is no different than saving money. Like the earlier you begin, the more you have to gain. The longer you wait, the less gains you have to realize.
Agree. Actually, I'll just share something. I consider myself as an early adopter for Filipinos. So when that like 2015, I was doing all of these groups and such, and then I created this group name, and then I created like a 10,000 group. And then just recently, this May, I was able to sell the Facebook group for 200,000 pesos. I mean, if I was not
That's
early,
awesome.
Wow.
yeah, if I did not create that in 2015, I wouldn't be able to have 200,000 cash, right? So there's like a big factor that you're buying all of the vanity URLs, or I don't know. There's something to sell at the end of the day. Early adoption can be as a user or a software creator. Yeah. Hey, Alec, welcome back.
That's a great
Okay.
example.
Yeah. I missed some of your points, but okay, let's now head on to let's talk about how your company Prosperna um, helps with the shift that is happening. So, what or how is Prosperna contributing to the second wave of the digital shift?
Yeah. So this is what's been really exciting and part of this is what I mentioned earlier, whenever we onboard new customers and really just to see their hearts and their with that new energy and that new hope for their dreams and their goals. That's really our fuel for us, because for us, as we mentioned earlier, we really want to empower our country and the ecosystem of SMEs with technology that equalizes the playing field. So it's something that we're super passionate about. Beyond just technology, what we're doing is partnering with organizations like ESME. Right? It's really important that we all in the ecosystem contribute by educating, right? So one of the things that we do to contribute on the second wave is we have a certification course on SME to help companies create that right mindset and processes. And that's free as long as you use our platform. And because I believe earlier, like I mentioned, you have to combine technology. Technology is not the silver bullet. So you have to have the right people, mindset, right? The second thing that is, I think that's also different than other companies is we're providing also people to help you. So all of our have a customer success manager, right, assigned to them to help guide them to hold their hand through the process changes, to help them adapt to the shift, right? Because let me ask you, if you don't mind me saying, and I'm a very competitive person, right? But does WordPress have a customer success manager?
None. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Try to give them a call. They don't have a customer success manager.
Yeah.
Even if you call the 10,000 pound gorilla Shopify, I don't believe I don't believe they have a customer success manager.
Yeah, I think that's what separates.
You're kind of left on your own,
Prosperna,
right,
from the other companies. Because even though, for example, you're starting, you're on WordPress, right? They're giving you these instructions on how you could, read your data and analyze your data. You still don't have the. I think I'm correct me if I'm wrong. You have like people helping you understand what is happening with the website or what's the data that you have. Is that correct?
No, it's like the customer success person. It helps you process your, like, if for example you're creating your store.
So we do connect with.
Yes, Denise.
It's like how is this they're holding your hand as you go with the process? How is this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Alec, in digital transformation, there's actually a life cycle to it, right? So first, whenever there's a new process or new piece of technology, call implementation, or that's the first step in that journey. Once technology, once processes, once people are implemented and set up, then you have the ongoing adoption, right? And that's where you're just now starting to create what we call muscle memory in your new processes, with your new shoes, with your new car, right? Some of these things, the reality is it's hard to do those things on your own.
Agree.
Right? So that's why we have, that customer success lifecycle and that we've identified and have a team to help organizations with. After you go through that adoption, then you have what you call is the expansion phase, right? Once you've created muscle memory in your new process with your new mindset and with your new technology, right? Then you really start to expand and find other business processes, create the same kind of impact, right? And then after that, it's just iteration, feedback, and it's a success loop, right? And for example, if you've never been to Japan and traveled, wouldn't it be easier or potentially more time saving if you had a tour guide?
Yeah, that's a trend as well right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're only going to be there for 4 days,
Mhm.
yeah, if you're going to be time and see all the best that Japan has to offer,
Yeah,
right?
like to live
So
like a local. I agree.
the transformation life cycle in its very new is really
Dennis, we're missing you again. But we saw
This
a
this is an
question.
interesting
you guys
question.
still with me?
Yeah,
Yep.
I was just now. Yeah, welcome back again. Yeah.
So there's a question, Dennis, from Noemi Mendoza. She said, "Is Prosperna Philippine based only? And then Lazada, Shopee ship their products Philippines abroad. What's the difference or advantage of using Prosperna compared to Lazada or Shopee? Thank you so much. I learned a lot and I was motivated.
Yeah,
Thank you,
this is actually an interesting question, and I hope we can get Dennis back so we could ask him and hear his
Yeah,
answer, because I honestly believe that if you go into research about Prosperna does, you can actually see that it provides so much value. For example, I started selling t-shirts a few weeks ago, and I was
mhm.
thinking about creating either a Facebook page or an Instagram page, or just putting it on Lazada and Shopee. But I don't know. I saw an ad where I actually, because I didn't know about Prosperna before, so I subscribed to Wix, and it was, for me, something worth investing, because just seeing your brand stand on its own, like, of course you're happy that all these Shopee, Lazada is helping you out, but to see your brand, it just feels better when you know that it's not just something that can be done that easy. It's something that you yourself created, personalized. And I think that's one of the best things that Prosperna provides, is that it allows you to choose what you want, how you would want you to present yourself to your customers.
Yeah.
And Dennis,
Actually,
welcome back
yeah.
again. And
Welcome back, Dennis. Actually,
Yeah.
Alec, I saw your website
For some reason, the
when
internet goes bad when it starts raining.
yeah,
was it raining on your area? Yeah, I hope our telco
like,
system will be able to change our connectivity because it will be a big plug in our ecosystem or digital
yeah.
transformation if our internet connection is not doing well. Like, how can we do a lot of live? Or how can we use this bandwidth for our new softwares? So anyway, um, Dennis, can you hear us? Ken? Alec, I have a question for you while we're waiting for Dennis.
Okay.
I saw your site. It's actually Alec has a website and it's actually cool. It's called whereyourmindset.com, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and actually I have so many questions like your website itself, parang ang galing. Parang it's like done by a marketeer. So
Thank you. Uh, that's the thing about these kinds of companies with Prosperna. I don't have a background in coding. I don't have the technical skills in art, web design, or any of that stuff. But Prosperna allows us to guide you. Just pick what theme you want, or what style you want to present yourself, and
yeah,
they're gonna do all the dirty work for you. And yeah, I appreciate the comment
that's
for the
good.
website.
It's
But
awesome.
I just wish I knew about Prosperna, because I'm pretty sure that Prosperna costs way cheaper than, from the websites abroad. Because, yeah. But yeah, Dennis, welcome back. Can you hear us? Hopefully, we can ask a few more questions before we finally end this
Yeah.
webinar. Um, are you there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We just want to know. I think a lot of people are wondering about this question, and I have a lot more questions. But I think the question from Noemi, if I'm pronouncing it right, is can help make your Prosperna become more clear to them. So can we just pop up the question? The Noemi asked, is Prosperna Philippine based only? Lazada, Shopee ship their products in Philippines abroad, but what's the difference or advantage of using Prosperna compared to Lazada or Shopee? Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I was motivated.
Okay, good question. Thank you for the question, Noemi, and hopefully you're doing okay and prospering there in your ecosystem, wherever that is here in the Philippines. But is Prosperna Philippine based only? Yes and no. We do have majority of our employees and the majority of our customers, and our number one focus is actually here in the Philippines. But we're lucky in that we do have customers from abroad because they have found us and saw our platform better, right? Depending on their needs. Now, can you use Prosperna to expand your business outside of the Philippines? The answer to that is yes. We have invested in integrating our platform with some of the most popular payment gateways from abroad, Stripe, PayPal, Braintree, just a few of those, so that you can abroad. And at the same token, we've also integrated with other shipping partners from abroad, UPS, FedEx, DHL. We did that while maintaining the need to focus on the Philippines, because there's many Philippine businesses that do want to sell their great products to consumers and countries outside. So by using our platform, we're helping them also connect locally, but also be able to expand globally. We've also done the same thing, just like integrating with Lazada here locally. You can integrate Prosperna to Amazon and eBay as well, even if you want to get products from Alibaba or AliExpress and create a drop shipping model. So in some cases, we have the same needs like other countries, right? We want to expand just like others, but not a lot of companies are focusing on what you need to do business here and to transact here locally, right? Does that help?
Yes.
Hopefully it does.
Cool.
It provides clarity. I hope it answered the question. So we've learned a lot from today, and we have a few more questions before we actually end this. I think if it weren't for the internet connection, straight internet went out. Anyways, I want to ask, some of the last few questions that I have is, we're now looking forward, right? Of course, you grounded what is happening right now, but we want to prepare ourselves for what's happening, what's going to happen. So I want to know what aspects of the Philippine startup scene should we prepare the most in the coming of the second wave of the digital shift?
Dennis? This conversation is so amazing. We actually hit like a 50 mark earlier. Um, Dennis, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I think the digital transformation here in the Philippines, like we have been talking earlier, is splendid. Like, alam mo yun, na-push natin, everybody was pushed to be locked down, to be stuck at home. Parang if they cannot go to the grocery, they need to buy something, and they're
Yes.
pushed to use their Lazada or their Shopee, right? So I think it's marvelous that I mean, there's already technology before COVID, right? But the
Yeah.
push, the
Yeah.
wave, pushing us to use our phones, even our lola, or
Yeah.
tita, they're using the phones already. Not just to
Yeah.
shop, even sa games, diba? They're also playing games as well. Parang, I see my mom playing games, like RPG games, like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's the thing that we gotta like look at and see that technology is not going anywhere. No matter how much some of us hate it, they don't like it and all that stuff, it's here to stay. And I really believe that this webinar has helped us, in understanding more what is currently happening. And some of the few questions that I have are, welcome back again, Dennis, we've laid out what's happening, and we want to know what from the shift, for the shift that is happening to us. So we want to know what aspects of the Philippine startup scene should we prepare the most in the coming of the second wave of the digital shift.
Okay, so in terms of what can Philippine startups and entrepreneurs and SMEs do to
Yeah.
prepare for this shift, I would say in many ways, again, I'm sorry, I've said this before, but I just like to keep things simple. It's easier to execute. But I would break it up into kind of two tracks. The first one is really just thinking about the basics first. You got to think about your business and decide on what are the core foundational building blocks that your customer is looking to get from you in order to complete a relationship or a transaction. So those basic building blocks are things like getting found. You've got to get your business so that it can be found anywhere and everywhere that your target audience typically goes fishing, right?
yeah.
So just like fishing, you want to go where all the fish are. So you need to go and have the kind of boat, right, to get there. So you have to be placing yourself where found.
You have
The
to
second
motivate
thing is think about once your customer finds you, what do they want to do, right? If they find the product and service that they want from you, then the next thing you have to do is the basics of getting paid, right? So how do you reduce friction from the payment process? Otherwise, as they say in Tagalog, and I'm sorry it's late on a Saturday night, but I'll try to practice my Tagalog, mawawala yung gana nila, right, to do business with you if it's too difficult.
I
Is
love
that
your
good Tagalog?
Yeah, that's good Tagalog. I'm proud of you,
Thank
man.
you.
Yes, mawawalang gana
Yeah.
talaga. Yes. Like for example, even for our show, right? Even they're interested to listen to us, but if the internet connection is failing us miserably, they'll just watch it. I'll just watch it later. So there's like a lot of hiccup in marketing yourself, right? In any business, you'll be surprised. Oh my god, this is what I'm experiencing. So I didn't plan for this. You just have to be um ready as always that there's a lot of hiccups, there's a lot of challenges, but you gotta stay focused to your goal. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the last thing is once you accept payment of some sort, then it's delivery, right? Just getting your if you do that in a digital way, you're ahead of the curve. Because the reality is that's the core process, the core foundation. It hasn't changed in 1,000 years.
Yep.
We're just accelerating the medium and choosing a different medium to complete it. Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Now
love
there's the second
that.
part to this is
That's
what I
amazing.
call more of the next generation. So the beginning part was the first part, your basic core foundation building blocks. The second piece is that next generation of evolution, which is still centered around the customer and their behavior. What's really cool now is take a look at what we're doing, right? This is content. The next generation is more advanced content discovery. Like, you want to put yourself in a way on the digital sphere where you're not as intrusive to your customer, where customers can kind of bump into you during their entertainment or during their research, right? So there's going to be a whole new discovery phase of consumers and how they find products and services through platforms like Facebook Live, through YouTube and YouTube Live, through streaming, through Kumu. My other brothers in the startup tech scene here who are, helping people generate their own content. They're, in my mind, a discovery platform where consumers find ways how to get entertained, find ways how to get research that end up transacting and buying things in that other course of behavior. They didn't intend to buy something, but all of a sudden they are buying something, right? So as this digital transformation evolves, we're going to see a convergence and a connection of all these platforms centered around customers. And you will go to your customer, and then customers will just bump into you and find you, right? So anyway, that's what I think.
Amazing discussion. Actually, we have so many questions that we have, Alec and I
We
have
are. Yeah.
pushed, but I think we're running out of time.
I
Maybe
mean,
last question, Alec. What's your last question
yeah.
for Dennis?
Yeah. No, I just want to ask, because we've learned so much. Dennis provided with so much information, and I hope that all of you watching right now gained so much insights. But I just want to ask you just one last question to sum it all up, to get the most out of you, out of this session. If you are going to give one practical advice to the startups, to the businesses, to the existing businesses right now, just one practical advice, what would it be?
Just one?
Maybe
Yeah.
two?
Yeah, just
Honestly,
one.
okay. Assuming, just to put it into context, assuming that the majority of the market hasn't gone through this experience before, I would say go out and seek and do your research and find a good partner, right? I know, Cher, you specialize and have a digital agency. Alec, you help in social media content. Obviously, we have a platform. There are resources out there. Don't try to go out and do this on your own, because
Agreed.
there's a lot of research and you think it's go out there and find the right people to help guide you, right? Because as they say, and one thing that I learned, if you want to be successful, recreate the wheel. Find somebody who has a formula of success and ask them for help.
I agree.
You'll be surprised. People are willing to help, and what
Dennis, we're missing you. Yeah,
That's
I
really nice. I'm
completely
actually getting some goosebumps right now. That was so nice. That was so insightful of Dennis, and to hear that you shouldn't be creating your own wheel. You should just be recreating those. Success leaves trails. I read that one time, and that I realized that the people that you want to be, or the people you want to become, there's already
Mhm.
a layout that is grounded for you. You just need to go out there and research, as Dennis said. Go out there, do your research, find the right people, and just go do it.
Yeah, and no man is an island, right? Always
Yeah.
ask something if you need help.
Right.
Um,
If you want,
it's
yeah.
yeah, agree. Hello, Dennis, you're back. Maybe before we end this call, I want to continue this, but we have another webinar coming soon here in ESME. I'll show up. Where can we connect with Dennis? Let me pop this out. Yeah.
And
Oh,
Dennis, do you
sorry.
have any more last things that you want to say? Where you what you're currently working with? Do you have anything to plug? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just, want to congratulate both of you. You guys are being great examples for our country as well.
Thank you.
It's really important that we do everything we can as a collective community to help our country. And for those of you that are listening, this is one step, right? Listening and watching and doing the research, as Cher mentioned. Just have the courage. The good news is a lot of companies like us, Kumu, and many, many, many others here in the Philippines who are out there to help. You just have to, come to us, and we'll do what we can to help you, right? Anyway, just go out there and do it, right? It's not that scary.
Agree. Yeah, for everybody, please connect with Dennis on from their website to get to know more about Prosperna at prosperna.com. Is this everywhere we could find you, Dennis? From Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, right?
That's right. Yeah, you can also find me personally. Now that you guys know what I look like, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for your afternoon, Dennis. We wish to have more insights. Actually, our questions, the next few questions are actually more impactful, but time and internet. But anyway, thank you for being our guest this afternoon, and we look forward to still see you in the next few runs or such. Maybe a partnership with Prosperna and ESME in the future might work. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking for more partnerships to bring this ecosystem and connect it together. But thanks for having me. It was fun. And I wish
Thank
everybody a
you.
great weekend. And it's time to prosper now with Prosperna.
I love it.
Yes, I love that. Okay, thank you so much, Dennis. It's our honor to have you on this. Hopefully, we could have you more next time to talk about more stuff. But yeah, guys, I hope that you learned something from today. If you did, go ahead and share this with the people that you love, that you know, that can also help them with their startup, even when they're starting their own business or they're trying to grow their own business. Anybody, share this to anybody that you know that could provide value. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. Share.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Alec. And I would like to say thank you as well to Alec for co-hosting with me this afternoon. You
It was
are
my,
awesome. Yeah,
it was
you're
my
awesome.
yeah.
Please also follow Alec Cuenca's podcast, The Small Talk, right? And go to his website, whereyourmindset.com. It's an awesome website. Maybe you could migrate your website to
I
Prosperna in the
will,
future,
as long as my
right?
finish. I'll switch to Prosperna.
All right. That's been it
There you go,
for this.
buddy.
Yeah, that's been it for this afternoon. We'll see you next Saturday. Actually, if you still have time, we have the the passionate empowered woman. They're going live right now with the owner reaching team. But that's it for us. Goodbye. Thank you. Good afternoon. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a great night, people. Thanks,
Bye.
Dennis.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.